Donald Trump has once again screwed himself by making the wrong enemy at the very worst time. Now, of course, Stephen Colbert has always been critical of our fascist crybaby president, but tonight he went off on him, not just because Donald Trump was gloating after he got a corporation to fire Stephen Colbert, threatening to block their merger, but also because Colbert took aim at Donald Trump's biggest scandal right now with Jeffrey Epstein. We are going to get into it all and the beautiful revenge Stephen Colbert got tonight. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into Colbert's brilliant takedown of Trump over Epstein, I want to start with someone who gave the perfect synopsis of why this encapsulates all of Donald Trump's attacks on the free press, and that was Bernie Sanders right here.
During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump said very clearly that he would release the Epstein files. My response, Mr. President, do it. Do what you promised the American people you would do, and stop trying to deflect attention away from what you promised. Be transparent the way you promised you would be. Tell the truth like you promised. Because hiding whatever he's hiding with the Epstein files is not the first time, to say the least, that he has lied to the American people. He promised that his big, beautiful bill wouldn't touch Medicaid. Instead, the bill is going to take away Medicaid from 17 million Americans. Why is he slashing Medicaid? So he can give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1% and $900 billion in tax breaks to the corporate world. In other words, he is making his very rich friends much richer while making life harder for working families. But that is not all. Trump is attacking every single day the very foundations of American democracy. He is usurping the responsibilities of Congress and is illegally refusing to allocate the money that Congress appropriated for education, housing, and other basic needs. He is ignoring court decisions that he doesn't like and attacking universities who are teaching courses he doesn't like. He's going after law firms that represented clients he doesn't like. Further, he doesn't like a free press and he doesn't want criticism. He has sued ABC, Meta, the Wall Street Journal, and CBS, and he has cut funding for PBS and NPR. Enough is enough. Too many Americans have fought and died to defend freedom and democracy, to defend the First Amendment and the right to dissent. That is what makes America great. Whether Donald Trump likes it or not, we are and will remain a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not a country run by a bunch of billionaire oligarchs who want to move this country to an authoritarian society.
This scandal around Jeffrey Epstein is so much deeper than just Donald Trump's individual connection or his cover-up. It paints a broader picture of how Republicans will always defend and protect the rich and well-connected, how they will abuse power to ensure that their asses are covered, and they will do anything that it takes, especially in the case of Donald Trump, to try to distract and stop those who speak out against them. Of course, Stephen Colbert has done that, and of course, Donald Trump has tried to distract from it, which is what we saw from two posts from him, one attacking Colbert, one trying to distract, which have blown up in his face. After it was announced that Stephen Colbert's show would be fired, Trump wrote, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Fallon is next. He even has less talent than Colbert." In a similar nonsensical Truth Social rant, Trump wrote, "The Washington whatevers should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There is a big clamoring for this." Now, obviously, the Colbert post was Trump gloating, and the Washington Commanders post was an attempt to distract and feed racist red meat to the MAGA base. But Colbert took both of those posts and ran with it on his show tonight, in which he called out the Epstein scandal and called out Trump directly. I want to take a look at both. Unfortunately, we can't play this video because CBS will block it on YouTube, but Stephen Colbert ran a clip claiming that Trump now wants to change the commander's name to the Washington EPSTEINs, with the Washington EPSTEIN football team here, as you can see, and an interesting new logo mocking Donald Trump's best buddy. Stephen Colbert also went on to rip into Trump tonight, saying, "Go F yourself," Colbert responds to Trump post. The Late Show host Stephen Colbert responded to President Trump's post that celebrated the cancellation of the program in his opening monologue on Monday. Colbert wasn't just a vocal critic of Trump, he also criticized CBS parent company Paramount's decision to settle with him. In his first show since CBS announced it would end the program next year, Colbert addressed Trump's Friday post saying, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired because he has less talent and terrible ratings." Colbert responded that the Jimmy Kimmel Live host was not next and that he was a martyr. "How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man, unable to compose the following satirical, whimsical, go F yourself?" Really just a perfect response from Stephen Colbert to Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted to make an example out of Stephen Colbert, as he has tried to do countless times again and again and again in the media. And something that Jon Stewart said tonight in an equally scathing monologue of Donald Trump is, "What idiots are you?" It's something that I said of my alma mater, Columbia University. What idiots are you to think that you could appease Donald Trump by throwing your audience, your viewers, your students, in the case of my college, under the bus to appease Donald Trump, a man who is suing Rupert Murdoch right now? The guy who runs Fox, Donald Trump is pissed off with, and you think a little olive branch extending, firing Stephen Colbert, canceling his show, an idiotic, nonsensical move is going to make Donald Trump decide, you know what? I think I'm cool with you. The man tried to kill his own vice president. You think you can satisfy him? You can't. All you can do is embarrass yourself and hurt the collective power we have as folks in the media to hold Donald Trump accountable. Now, clearly, that's not what Paramount cares about. They care about their bottom line. But stealing from Jon Stewart, and I will again steal from the best here, at a certain point, protecting your bottom line, it doesn't actually lead to anything. You have the success because of people like Stephen Colbert, not because of slop that satisfies the masses and especially our insane, cognitively declining president. No, truth matters. Truth should be celebrated. Truth is what is important, not making Donald Trump happy. It's nonsensical. Yes, Stephen Colbert is a martyr. Yes, Stephen Colbert is now the one that Donald Trump will continue to go after to point to, look how big and tough and powerful I am. But that's not actually the case. If we stop him, if we stand up, if we do not allow ourselves to be pushed around, if there is some collective action against Donald Trump, why it is so important now more than ever for independent media to be pushing back, not subject to corporations, CEOs telling us what to say, how to say it, what we can't publish, what we can't think, what we can't talk about, becomes more important than ever right now in this moment. And Senator Adam Schiff spoke to that in a way I think is incredibly important right here.
CBS itself said that the litigation was absolutely baseless. Now, why was it baseless? Because CBS has a right to edit their interviews of someone the way they choose, and some disgruntled other candidate can't complain about an editorial decision made with respect to someone else's interview. So there was no basis for this litigation. And if that's the case, then why did CBS settle? And in that settlement, why did CBS agree to pay Donald Trump $16 million? Well, the answer can be found in CBS and its parent Paramount wanting that merger to go through with Skydance. That merger is worth about $8 billion. So 16 million against 8 billion is not very much. But settling a frivolous lawsuit where you're paying off the president, well, what does that really look like? What is that really? Stephen Colbert had the answer on Monday of last week. That's right, Stephen called this a big fat bribe. And sadly, I think that's exactly what this was. But of course, that must have prompted a reaction not only from the president and the administration, but also concern, alarm with Skydance and Paramount. It was the very next day that the CEO of Skydance had a meeting with the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr. The FCC, which is in a position to hold up this merger. So the chronology is this. On Monday, Colbert calls this payoff a big fat bribe. That is the $16 million CBS is paying Donald Trump to make that frivolous case go away. On Tuesday, Skydance CEO meets with the head of FCC that could hold up the deal. And on Wednesday, Colbert is told that the show is being canceled. And on Thursday, he announces the cancellation. So is there any merit to CBS' claim that this is purely financial? The circumstantial evidence would say there isn't a whole lot of merit there. Certainly not with the timing of the decision. Now, it is true that late night comedy ain't what it used to be in terms of viewership. As lots of people have moved on to streaming services, particularly young people that watch late night, there are less viewers than there used to be, but there's still a lot of viewers. And the top-rated show was the one that CBS just canceled. It's also instructive to look at May of this year, when Paramount CEO was asked about the late night show with Stephen Colbert. And he was already talking about how they would have contract talks in the following year, that is next year, and that CBS felt it was in a good negotiating position with Stephen Colbert. There was no suggestion then that they were entertaining a cancellation of the show. So what happened between May and this announcement last Thursday that they're canceling the show? Well, the merger, the desperation to get that merger done. So this, certainly at least in terms of the timing of canceling the show, seems to be driven by a desire of these two companies to merge and all the money that is on the line. But what is being sacrificed here is the freedom of the press. You can imagine what Donald Trump's reaction was to the cancellation of Colbert. Here it is.
In a time in which Donald Trump is engaging in maybe what is the most transparent cover-up we have ever seen out of a high-ranking official in our government, maybe not the biggest or the worst, maybe it is, I don't know, but the most transparent, don't we want a media that is willing to hold him to account? Don't we want a media who's willing to talk about this? Don't we want a media that isn't so distracted with shiny objects here and there that they lose the plot, they move on from the story, that they get distracted by the little posts and the little tweets and the little niblets that they want us to move on from? Or a media that's so willing to bend because of a corporate merger? Don't we want a real media that does its job? Well, I'm doing my best. I promise you that. So is Brian Tyler Cohen. So is David Pakman. So are the Young Turks, Breaking Points. People are standing up, and I'm going to do that as much as I possibly can. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.